One word, that is all it can take sometimes. One single, solitary word can redefine a human being. It can strip away years of service, of sacrifice. For United States Navy veteran Zachary Young, that word was smuggler. This label, splashed across headlines, began a new, unwelcome chapter. His life, his reputation were suddenly under siege. The man who had dedicated himself to his country, now he was painted as something sinister, something criminal. This was not just a news story. It was the beginning of a profound personal crisis. Imagine waking up one day to find yourself notorious, not for bravery, not for compassion, but for a crime. This became Zachary Young's reality. The media's portrayal cast a long, dark shadow. It was a shadow that threatened to engulf everything he had built. His identity, carefully forged through years in the Navy, felt stolen, replaced by a caricature, a villain in a story he didn't write. The shockwaves rippled through his personal and professional life, a decorated veteran now facing a battle on home soil. A battle against an enemy he never expected: misinformation. The power of a headline is immense, almost terrifying. It can shape public perception in an instant. It can create heroes, and it can, just as easily, create villains. Zachary Young found himself on the wrong side of that equation. The narrative spun by some media outlets was swift and damaging. It suggested illicit activities, a betrayal of trust. But was this the real story? Was this the whole truth? Or was there a deeper, more complex reality hidden beneath? A reality of courage, of desperation, and of rescue. This is the story of how one man fought to reclaim his name. The label smuggler is loaded with negative connotations. It implies deceit, illegality, and a disregard for the law. For Young, it was a brand that seared deep. It contradicted everything he stood for, everything he had worked for. His service in the United States Navy was a testament to his character. His actions in Afghanistan, which we will explore, were driven by a different motive. Yet, the simple, damning word threatened to erase all of that. The journey to correct this narrative would be arduous. It would demand resilience, determination, and an unwavering belief in the truth. A fight not just for himself, but for the integrity of his service. Who was Zachary Young before the headlines? He was a young man who answered the call to serve. He joined the United States Navy, a decision driven by purpose. He sought to contribute to something larger than himself. His training was rigorous, demanding both physical and mental fortitude. He learned the values of discipline, honor, and commitment. These were not just words, they became the bedrock of his character. He served with distinction, upholding the traditions of the Navy. His time in uniform prepared him for challenges, but perhaps not for the kind of battle he would later face. The Navy instills a profound sense of duty. It teaches individuals to operate under pressure, to make tough decisions. Young embraced these lessons wholeheartedly. He understood the importance of teamwork, of looking out for others. His service record speaks of dedication and competence. He was not someone who shirked responsibility or cut corners. The values learned in the military are meant to last a lifetime. For Young, they were a moral compass, guiding his actions. These principles would become crucial in the events that followed. They would be the foundation of his resilience. His reasons for joining were rooted in a desire to protect, to stand for the ideals his country represents. This is a common thread among those who wear the uniform, a willingness to put oneself in harm's way for the greater good. Young's specific roles and training in the Navy were specialized. They honed his skills, his awareness, and his ability to adapt. He was prepared for complex situations, for environments of uncertainty. This background is essential to understanding his later actions. He wasn't an ordinary civilian caught in extraordinary circumstances. He was a veteran with a unique set of skills and a deep-seated sense of obligation. The values of integrity and courage are paramount in the military. Young carried these with him even after his active service concluded. They informed his worldview, his approach to challenges. He believed in doing the right thing, even when it was difficult. This conviction would be tested severely. The media narrative would challenge his integrity directly, but his naval background provided a strong anchor. It gave him the strength to confront injustice and to fight for the truth with the same dedication he showed in service. His story is a reminder of what truly defines a veteran. August 2021, Kabul, Afghanistan, a city in chaos. The Taliban's rapid advance culminated in the fall of the capital. Desperation filled the air as thousands sought escape. Afghan allies, those who had worked alongside United States forces, were in grave danger. Their lives and the lives of their families hung in the balance. The official evacuation efforts were overwhelmed, strained to the breaking point. Time was running out for so many. In this maelstrom of fear and uncertainty, private citizens stepped up. Veterans, humanitarians, individuals driven by a moral imperative. Zachary Young was among them, unable to stand idly by. Young knew the risks. He understood the perilous environment. Yet his training and his conscience compelled him to act. He wasn't operating under official orders from the United States government. This was a private initiative, born out of a sense of duty to those left behind. He leveraged his skills, his contacts, his determination, his mission to help Afghan families, including women and children, find safety. These were people who faced credible threats under the new regime. Their past association with Western forces made them targets. Young felt a profound obligation to assist them. He embarked on a dangerous, high-stakes rescue operation. The operations were complex and fraught with danger. Navigating Taliban checkpoints, coordinating logistics, ensuring safety, every step was a gamble, every success a hard-won victory. Young and others like him worked tirelessly around the clock. They were motivated by compassion, by a shared humanity. They saw individuals, families, not just abstract policy concerns. The goal was simple: to save lives, to offer a lifeline to those facing unimaginable terror. Young's actions were those of a rescuer, a protector. He put himself in harm's way to bring others to safety. This was not about personal gain or glory. It was about fulfilling a promise, albeit an unspoken one. A promise to stand by those who had stood by us. The fall of Kabul was a traumatic event for many veterans. It stirred a deep sense of responsibility, even anguish. Young's efforts were a manifestation of this. He was trying to make a difference in a situation that felt hopeless. His actions, driven by courage and empathy, were heroic. He was on the ground, facing the stark realities, attempting to snatch hope from the jaws of despair. As Zachary Young worked to save lives, a different story began to form. Some media outlets, including CNN, started reporting on these private evacuation efforts. The lens through which they were viewed was not always favorable. Instead of highlighting the humanitarian aspect, a more sinister word emerged. That word, as we know, was smuggler. This single term reframed Young's mission entirely. It stripped away the context of desperation and rescue. It implied illegality, profiteering, and a disregard for official channels. The narrative suggested he was exploiting a crisis, a far cry from the reality of his life-risking endeavors. The use of smuggler was particularly damaging. It carried with it a heavy weight of criminality. It suggested that Young was moving people for illicit purposes or personal gain. This ignored the life-threatening situation in Kabul. It overlooked the urgent need to get vulnerable Afghans to safety. The media reports often lacked the full context. They didn't always convey the desperation of those being rescued, or the altruistic motivations of individuals like Young. Instead, a sensational, negative label took center stage. This label quickly spread, shaping public perception. The media has a responsibility to report accurately and fairly, especially when dealing with complex and sensitive situations. The fall of Kabul was one such situation. Labeling private rescue efforts as smuggling was a significant misstep. It failed to capture the nuances of what was happening on the ground. It painted heroes as potential villains. For Young, this was not just an abstract criticism, it was a direct assault on his character and his actions. He was risking his safety, and in return, he was being called a criminal. The power of the media to define a narrative is immense. This portrayal had immediate and severe consequences. It created confusion and distrust. It undermined the legitimacy of vital rescue operations. For those involved, like Young, it was a betrayal. They were acting out of a sense of duty, often at great personal cost. To be branded as smugglers was a deep wound. It demonstrated how quickly a complex humanitarian effort could be misconstrued, and how a single, poorly chosen word could inflict lasting damage. The media storm had begun, and Zachary Young was at its center. His heroic efforts were being twisted into something they were not. The smuggler label wasn't just a word in a news report, it became a heavy anchor dragging Zachary Young down. The consequences were swift and far-reaching. Professionally, doors began to close. Opportunities that once seemed promising suddenly vanished. Employers are wary of individuals linked to such serious allegations. Even if those allegations are unfounded, the suspicion lingers. Young, a skilled and experienced veteran, found his career prospects diminishing. The reputation he had built over years of service was now tarnished, all because of a narrative he fiercely contested. Personally, the toll was equally significant, perhaps even greater. His standing in his community came under question. Friends and acquaintances might have harbored doubts. The stress and anxiety of being publicly miscast are immense. Imagine trying to explain the complexities of Kabul to everyone you meet, trying to defend your actions against a powerful media portrayal. It's an exhausting and emotionally draining experience. Young's sense of identity, his pride in his service, was attacked. He was forced to carry the burden of a false accusation. This ordeal tested his resilience in ways his military service never had. The story spread like wildfire in the digital age. Online articles, social media discussions, the smuggler tag followed him. It's hard to escape a negative online footprint. Once something is out there, it's incredibly difficult to retract or correct. This is the pervasive nature of modern media. Young wasn't just fighting a news report, he was fighting an echo chamber, a space where misinformation can be amplified and repeated. His character was being assassinated in the court of public opinion, and the sentence was severe: a damaged reputation, a loss of trust that is hard to rebuild. The financial implications were also considerable. Beyond lost job opportunities, there was the cost of trying to set the record straight. Fighting for your reputation can be an expensive endeavor, especially when you are up against powerful media organizations. Young faced not only the loss of income but also potential legal fees. The emotional distress compounded these financial worries. It was a multi-front battle for survival. His life had been fundamentally altered by the media's portrayal. He was no longer just Zachary Young, Navy veteran. He was Zachary Young, the man called a smuggler. Zachary Young could have retreated. He could have tried to weather the storm quietly. Many might have chosen that path, overwhelmed by the opposition. But that was not his way. His naval training taught him to confront challenges. His values demanded that he fight for the truth. He made a courageous decision to take on the media giant CNN. He filed a defamation lawsuit, a bold move against a powerful corporation. This was not just about clearing his own name. It was about holding the media accountable for its words. It was about standing up for the reality of his actions in Kabul. A fight for justice, plain and simple. The courtroom battle was David versus Goliath, an individual veteran against a global news network. Such legal fights are arduous, expensive, and emotionally taxing. CNN, with its vast resources, would mount a strong defense. They stood by their reporting, arguing it was protected. Young and his legal team had to meticulously build their case. They needed to demonstrate that the smuggler label was false, and that it had caused significant harm to his reputation. This required presenting evidence of his actual mission in Afghanistan, testimony from those he helped, details of the rescue operations. The decision to sue was not taken lightly. Young understood the risks, the scrutiny he would face, but his conviction was stronger than his apprehension. He believed that the truth was on his side. He was driven by a need to restore his honor. The honor he had earned through years of dedicated service. The honor that was stripped away by a single, damaging word. This fight was a continuation of his service, in a way, a defense of integrity, a stand against misrepresentation. He was determined to see it through, no matter the odds. The legal process is often slow and painstaking. Depositions, discovery, motions, hearings. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Young had to relive the events of Kabul. He had to endure the scrutiny of his actions, his motives. But his resolve did not waver. He was fighting for a principle, that truth matters. That media organizations have a profound responsibility, a responsibility to report accurately, especially when lives and reputations are at stake. His battle in the courtroom was a testament to his character. The same courage he showed in uniform, now displayed in a different arena. After a long and hard-fought legal battle, the moment of truth arrived. The jury, having heard all the evidence, deliberated. They weighed the arguments from Zachary Young's team against CNN's defense. Their task was to determine if the smuggler label was defamatory, and if it had indeed harmed the Navy veteran's reputation. The tension in the courtroom must have been immense. Then, the verdict came in. The jury found in favor of Zachary Young. It was a stunning victory for the veteran, a powerful affirmation that his fight had been just. The system had worked, at least in this instance. The jury awarded Zachary Young significant damages. This was a recognition of the harm he had suffered. The financial award, while substantial, was perhaps secondary to the moral victory. His name, in the eyes of the court, had been cleared. The smuggler label was deemed false and damaging. This verdict sent a strong message. It underscored the importance of journalistic accuracy and the consequences of getting it wrong. For Young, it was a moment of profound vindication, a testament to his perseverance and his belief in the truth. But Zachary Young's fight didn't end there. Winning against one media outlet was a major step. However, the smuggler narrative had been echoed by others. He pursued further lawsuits against other media organizations. This demonstrated his unwavering commitment to full accountability. It wasn't just about one headline or one network. It was about correcting the record comprehensively. It was about ensuring that the truth of his actions was widely understood. His continued fight showed remarkable tenacity. He was determined to see this through to its rightful conclusion. Why continue the fight after such a significant win? For Young, it was about principle. It was about the broader implications for all veterans. It was about ensuring that those who serve are treated fairly by the media. His battle became larger than himself. It became a symbol of resistance against media overreach, a call for greater responsibility in reporting. He wasn't just seeking personal restitution, he was aiming for systemic change, a greater respect for truth. His actions serve as an inspiration for others who may face similar injustices. Zachary Young's case shines a bright light on media power. In our hyper-connected world, information spreads at lightning speed. A single story, a single headline, can define a person globally. This power comes with immense responsibility. The media acts as a gatekeeper of information. It shapes public discourse, influences opinions, and can alter lives. When this power is wielded carelessly, the consequences can be devastating. As we saw with Young, a misleading label can destroy a reputation. It can inflict deep and lasting personal and professional wounds. The digital echo chamber can amplify errors, making corrections difficult. The price of misinformation is extraordinarily high, especially when it concerns individuals who have served their country. Veterans often carry unique experiences and sensitivities. Their actions, particularly in complex situations like Kabul, require nuanced understanding. Broad-brush labels and sensationalism can be deeply unfair. They can betray the trust that the public places in the media, and they can cause profound harm to the individuals targeted. Truth and accuracy must be the guiding principles of journalism. Without them, public trust erodes, and the very fabric of informed society frays. We rely on the media to get it right. Journalistic freedom is a cornerstone of democracy, but it is not a license to be reckless. The rush to publish, the desire for a captivating headline must be tempered by rigorous fact-checking and a commitment to fairness. In Young's case, the term smuggler was explosive. It painted a picture far removed from his humanitarian efforts. This raises questions about editorial oversight and journalistic standards. How can such mischaracterizations be prevented in the future? What safeguards are needed to protect individuals from unfair portrayal? These are critical questions for the media industry to address. The impact on public trust is perhaps the most significant casualty. When the media gets it wrong, especially on such a human level, faith diminishes. People begin to question the reliability of news sources. They may become cynical about all information presented. This is dangerous for a healthy society. Zachary Young's fight was not just for his own reputation. It was a fight for a media landscape where truth prevails, where accountability is not just a concept, but a practice. His victory is a reminder that even powerful institutions can be challenged, and that the pursuit of truth is always worthwhile. Zachary Young's story is a powerful call to action, a call for more responsible, accurate, and empathetic reporting, especially when the subjects are veterans, men and women who have sacrificed. Their stories deserve to be told with care and precision. The complexities of their service, their motivations must be understood. Reducing them to simplistic, often negative labels is an injustice. It dishonors their commitment and their contributions. Media organizations have a duty to dig deeper, to seek the full context, to ensure that their narratives reflect the truth, not just a sensational angle. This is fundamental to journalistic integrity. We must remember the importance of respect for those who serve. They operate in challenging, often dangerous environments. They make difficult choices under immense pressure. When they transition to civilian life, or engage in humanitarian efforts, their military background often informs their actions, as it did for Zachary Young in Kabul. To misrepresent their motives or their deeds is a profound disservice. It can alienate veterans and undermine public support for them. Accurate reporting builds bridges of understanding. Misinformation builds walls of distrust. The power of the media is undeniable, as we've seen. This power must be matched by an unwavering commitment to truth. When mistakes are made, they must be acknowledged and corrected promptly. The fight Zachary Young undertook should not be necessary. Veterans, and indeed all citizens, deserve fair treatment from the press. His case highlights the need for robust ethical standards in journalism. and perhaps a greater degree of humility, an understanding that behind every story is a human being whose life can be irrevocably changed by the words chosen. Let this be a lesson in the pursuit of truth. Ultimately, this is about more than just one veteran's battle. It's about the kind of society we want to live in. One where truth is valued, where service is honored, and where the media plays a constructive role in informing the public. Zachary Young fought for his name, for his honor. His victory is a victory for all who believe in fairness and accountability. Let us take his story as a solemn reminder, a reminder of the media's profound impact, and the enduring importance of getting the story right, especially for those who have given so much.